Geek Therapy Radio.
Peter is my guest all the way from Tokyo, Japan. We are brothers in that we both own a DeLorean. Peter, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm just wake up. Yeah.
So
it's almost 10. Yeah.
So it's almost 10 in the morning for you there. Are you in Tokyo?
Yep. It's just I'm in Tokyo. Just the beginning of the Saturday. So
right.
I slept quite late last night.
You know what's funny? That now that I'm thinking about it, and it's kind of ironic. I should turn on a light for my face. Now that I'm thinking about it, see, you're in a DeLorean, and I have a DeLorean also. It's Friday night for me, Saturday morning for you. So you've time traveled compared to me. You're already in the next day. You're in a DeLorean. So that's very fascinating.
That makes time travel possible. So
the flux capacitor, you have one in your car. Where did you get that, or did you build it yourself?
I get that from a custom vendor, which he made it just the shape of less smaller than the one in the movie prop, so it fits the gap in the shelf.
Yeah.
Still not sacrifice the usability. I like it a lot because it's also dog gray fits the theme.
Yeah, that's nice. So in my car, I don't have a replica like that, but once upon a time I had a small one that went into the cigarette lighter, the 12-volt socket.
Yeah, I remember that. That's from the Geek.
Yeah.
I think geek.com.
And
I really regret I should buy one too back in days, like 2012, something like that. Yeah.
And unless I missed something, I don't think they make them anymore. I went back to check, and I don't think they have them anymore.
Yeah, there is only one USB socket one, and then the keychain one, which they limited like 500 of those, like made in stainless steel. That's it, and signed by Bob Gale. That's it. Yeah.
Wow. So mine broke the USB. It charges my cell phone. So when people would say, "Oh, where's your flux capacitor?" I would point to it in the cigarette lighter and say, "It's right there. It charges my phone," which is always kind of a kick. But usually, because when you drive around, you get all sorts of questions about the car, and my kind of default answer for when people ask me, "Where's the flux capacitor?" I just say I took it out because it took too much plutonium. It was too hard to find the plutonium for it. But so
that didn't change. Yeah, same in Japan, and someone they try to squeeze the best Back to the Future joke, and well, usually it didn't work because as an owner, we all hear the million time of it. We all have the answer. We all know how to deal with it.
Right.
So rather than being asked, I just point it. There it is.
Right.
Find yourself.
So I don't even want to ask what that the sticker on the back window is. I can kind of read it. It's backwards.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. So what year is your car? Mine's an 83. What year is yours?
It's the 81.
81.
Produced in August.
Do you know?
With the gas flap. Yeah.
With the gas flap. Yeah, I've seen on Twitter. Yeah. I'm going to share if that's okay, I'm going to share your Twitter.
Yeah, fine.
On the video and the podcast. And so if you're listening on the radio right now, make sure that you go subscribe to the Geek Therapy Radio podcast in your favorite podcast player, because in the description I always include a lot of goodies. And in the description of this episode, I'm going to include a link to Peter's Instagram account. And you take amazing pictures of your car. It looks like you keep it so clean. How long have you had your 81 DeLorean?
Just almost 2 years. I bought in 2019, November. So yeah. Well, and then since then I've been daily commute with this. Daily
in Japan, and you drive on the left side of the road in Japan, and
and this is my actually first car, so it is kind of a hassle to get used to it. So
wow.
I have to get the car in the evening, which is my first time being in the left hand. And when I got the car, it's almost night with the stock souvenir seal beam. It's so dark, and then blah 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 highway traffic jam. That the time wasn't. I feel was that because it's so heavy.
Yeah.
The responsibility, the steering, everything.
So it is a manual transmission.
Oh, it's an auto, but
Oh, it's
that's
auto.
fine because that's the only I was trying to buy the manual, but the manual's being already sold. I saw the advertised. They have two, one manual, one auto, and well, surprisingly, I think the auto one's still really in a mint condition, so it's less than being used.
It looks really nice. I know Tokyo is much more populated than Houston, but Houston still has 6 or 7 million people, and there are times, especially with the manual transmission, where I'm doing the heavy clutch in heavy traffic that it's only in those moments that I wish that I had the automatic. But overall, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I'm glad I got the manual. I got mine. It'll be 21 years in July. I have it since since July of 2000. And I'll let everybody know right now who's listening how much I paid for it. I'm not going to say how much it's worth right now. People can go Google it. But in July of 2000, I paid $9,500 US dollars for the DeLorean, and now it is worth it's worth quite a bit more. I'm not going to ask how much you paid for yours, but do you think you got a good deal?
Well, no, actually no, but
so
at least for the average Joe, they can try to go to contact the DMC in America and then say they want a car, and then they have to find all sorts to like logistic to ship the car to here and get imported and they get registered and modify the car. Some lights like the blinker, the catalytic, something like that. So yeah, for every people, if there is a car on the market, like for the car shop, maybe they'll take any chance to buy, because at least the money is the only object rather than find a bloke in America and help you ship the car. Blah blah. That's the more time consuming, and yeah.
So you found yours in Japan, or was it nearby somewhere?
Yeah, it's fresh imported from California, and then the car has been already registered until the last 2017, because the sticker on it, on the license plate, it's been tax paid.
Yeah.
2017, yeah. And the owner has keep a really thorough record, and then I can find the VIN number on the website, which they keep all the record for the previous owner. And then I was so surprised that they even have a letter from John DeLorean. He has signature on it to gratitude of the people who purchased the car.
Wow. More with Peter from Tokyo in a moment. More Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I'm your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. Peter is a fellow DeLorean owner from Tokyo, Japan. So let's continue that conversation. You have a very early model, the ones with the gas flaps.
Yes,
very early.
The VIN number is 3104, 3104.
Okay. And mine is 15501, so 15,501. So the VIN numbers, for anybody listening right now, for people who don't know cars in general, VIN number doesn't mean like his was the 3,000th car or mine was a 15,000 car, because there were only about 9,000 DeLoreans ever made. So VIN number has nothing to do with, the number of car it was. Not really. Or you can't tell just by the number itself. There's usually some code in there that'll tell you. But so gosh, there's so many questions. So you've had it for 2 years. Do you think that you've gotten very comfortable driving it in Japan?
Yeah, since it's auto, and then Japan got a traffic jam all the time at the evening. So yeah, I was really lucky to have an auto. So I don't need break a sweat.
Yeah.
Just stayed in traffic jam.
And you said that it's your first car. Do you have any other cars other than the DeLorean, or is that it? If you need to go get groceries, it's the DeLorean.
Yeah, I take to the grocery. I go eat a Big Mac in the midnight. I just go travel. Drive around in the midnight, just taking photos.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love, what do you use to edit? Do you use Photoshop to edit those pictures, or what do you use?
No, usually just a cell phone. I'm not that serious guy, but I'd rather just park my car and let the rest of the public do the rest, because they love the cars. They would take it the hell of it.
Yeah.
And they will post it and they will edit it. Yeah, I don't mind.
It looks really nice. The pictures you take, it looks like you have a at least for now, you're using a color scheme. There's tones that you use, and it's like, what is it?
Average filter.
But I mean, but they look really good. So
the building, yeah, it's a building. I use a Chinese cell phone. It's called Xiaomi.
Okay.
You heard it? Yeah, and then they have the default filter, which the theme is called Cyberpunk.
Neat. That's neat.
Okay. They know. Yeah, they know the stuff.
So, you got me. I don't want to get too sidetracked on Chinese phones. Other than it just reminded me of something interesting that is kind of happening with Huawei, and like the U.S. government.
I try to avoid that too. So I picked the Xiaomi, which is a kind of a novelty. I'm similar to the Apple, which I would say. Mm-hmm. They tried to build the brand image.
Right.
Like Huawei is like a big house brand.
Yeah,
Xiaomi is still a very niche brand.
So
at the time,
we all know that Chinese manufacturers copy a lot of other manufacturers with almost no. They don't care. Like if the United States said, "Hey, stop copying Apple," the Chinese manufacturers would be like, you can't make us. There's no way. And even if you did, like, you'd still buy all of our stuff. So it doesn't. So we're not going to stop just because you tell us to.
It has been improved a lot since like past 10 years, past a decade. Because since people, the Chinese government know if you want to make business, for the foreign company, they have to establish copyright law to protect the foreign company. So it's not like as crazy as they used to be. So the lawsuits could get won by them. So and then things get under control. So nowadays, it's unlike maybe in the past a decade, people will start joking about like a really poorly copied bootleg of any item that's sold in China. But now Chinese produce their own, so it's kind of getting good, I think.
Yeah, we can we can talk for hours about how China in the past 30 years and gadgets.
Sure, maybe that's on the next episode.
It's a next one, exactly. What do you do for a living? Do you drive your car to work, or what's the situation there?
At the time when I just newly bought the car, I started my own company. I opened a hotel.
Wow. With
the coronavirus outbreak at the same time. So 2019, the autumn. So and the winter come, and then it gets in Japan. So I know there's no any chance to make a really successful career. But I still, the hotel is there. I still got my job, but that's it. Like the situation now with almost zero foreign people, no any travel industry. So I can't really hope any foreign people to visit. So I still got the local customer with the hotel still running well, but that's it. That's the limit. If the borders open, then maybe I can have more business, so I can earn more. But so far the hotel is fine and it's been stable. So I am looking for a new job, and now I'm working for IT now.
Okay. Well, that you still got something to do. That's all I was hoping for, is that you were still working and had stuff to do. And do you go into an office every day, or are you working from home?
No, I go to the office, but I can work from home either, both. But at the time for the hotel, I usually travel in this car because it's kind of far away from the city center. I live in the place, how to call it, it's not exactly Times Square, but it is a tourist heavy place. So we got the Akihabara. It's the anime mecca for electronics.
Okay.
Something like that. So my home is just 10 minutes away driving from there. So usually I just park my car in the anime street and take photos.
Wow. And are people pretty respectful of the car, or do they come up and try to touch it without asking first?
Not really, not less. If I'm standing beside it, people usually spot me as owner, ask, are you the owner? Yeah, then say can't touch it, or asking questions. Usually I just open the door, let them sit in, so they can have the time of their life.
Right, exactly. And see, here's the thing. And that's a good point there. As an owner, and I'm sure you're learning this as well in the few years that you've had the car, it's not about having a fast car. It's not about driving it really hard or fast or trying to race people or anything like that. A DeLorean is for cruising around. And the real joy that comes from driving a DeLorean around is, I'm sure you've noticed, everybody likes it, whether they are a very young child or elderly, an old person. Everybody seems to really enjoy the car, and being able to bring smiles to faces. You know, if someone drives by real fast in a Ferrari, it's that, and almost no one will pay attention to that compared to a DeLorean, you know, sitting still, not going anywhere. People, maybe it's different in Japan, but in Houston, where there's a lot of people around, we see a lot of fancy cars. We see a lot of Bentleys and Mercedes and Lamborghinis and stuff like that, but you almost never see a DeLorean. And so when people won't even look at the Lamborghini, but if the DeLorean is there, you get a crowd of people. So, you know, when you go buy, when you go to the store to buy food, when you come back out, is there sometimes people hanging around the car?
Well, I guess at the time there were people, but usually when I get the car, it's gone. But sometimes I'll park the car exactly where the people will pass the station. So when they go home past the station, they will saw my car, and then literally I create a sea of people which is in front of station. That happens often.
Do you ever, before you leave the house, do you ever have to kind of consider and think about the time? It's funny in a DeLorean thinking about time, but you know that, hey, if I was in a normal car, I could just go do what I want to do really fast because nobody is going to stop and look at the car. But with a DeLorean, do you plan on spending a few extra minutes in your chores and your errands because you know that you're going to have to stop and talk to people?
Stop. Earthquake.
Really?
Yep. It's earthquake. Yep. I can feel the shake.
Hopefully not a bad
I don't
one.
know if you can. No, it's not the ideal, but if you see the antenna is kind of wobbly a little bit. I'm not wobbling the car, so the antenna is kind of wobbling. I don't know why, so I think, earthquake.
That's kind of scary. We'll pause the conversation right there, but I gotta say, this is a first. I have never interviewed somebody who has actively gone through an earthquake during the interview. That's kind of crazy. By the way, I'm recording this show with my RCA 77DX microphone. It is over 70 years old. Doesn't sound too bad, does it? More Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. We continue the conversation with fellow DeLorean owner Peter in Japan, mid-earthquake. So I guess you could say DeLoreans are technically earthquake-proof? At least the small ones. Let's continue. I used to live in California. You mentioned California, and I've been through just a couple of earthquakes. Have you been getting...
This is so long.
Yeah, I can see you shaking. Your head was kind of bobbing a little bit.
I'm fine, but I can see like the bicycle outside the handle. They are shaking like something object is shaking. Yeah.
Are you between buildings?
Yeah. Well, I'm underneath the building, so it's car park off of my apartment. So that's fine because the at least it survived like a magnitude 4.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big deal if you come close to 3, and then ever so far it happened so far it's around 3. So this is like 2 maybe, I guess.
Yeah. How? When was the last tremor? When was the last earthquake y'all have had? Just a little one.
Oh, not long ago. I think there's a 4 strike. It was really long, and then like when you go to the convenience store, pretty much all the food stuff will be just falling on the ground and then break.
Wow.
That's how catastrophic it is. But for the small one, people will notice. They will take caution, but nonetheless, it's daily stuff. So,
man,
because the house will be building like with 10 magnitude 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, you can not even standing on your feet. So 3 or 4 can consider average.
So this little shake right now, is that going to make the news at all?
No. But
No.
you Google on Twitter like the earthquake report, it will show you when and where.
Yeah.
So how the status, how long it was continue. Maybe we call that afterquake. So when you shake a big stuff, the small stuff will shake later. Maybe an hour later, it could be a day later. We don't know, but it happens.
Yeah, we call them aftershocks. So there's
all right,
and sometimes there's little shakes before a big one, and then there's little ones afterwards. So I'm just hoping that this little one isn't out ahead of a bigger one. I'm really hoping that's not the case. But
well, because in the Japan communication system, they built in the earthquake alarm. If it detect a really huge quake, the all cell phone will just have constant nonstop beeping alarm. It doesn't matter if you in a silent mode or like anything. It will just tell you if it's an earthquake or tsunami or typhoon, something like that, or maybe a North Korean missile.
Oh man, oh no!
It happened once. It's a false alarm, but
yeah. Oh man, this conversation got heavy. That's heavy, like Marty would say. Is there something wrong with the gravity in the future? So, how many times have you seen Back to the Future? Is it one of your favorite movies?
Well, yeah, I think after I bought the car, I really appreciate the movie a lot more than it used to be. Mm-hmm. I only saw the movie first time it was in Japan, and then on the TV randomly. I didn't know there's such a movie. I wasn't really interested in such a car, but it stuck in my mind.
Yeah.
Really small children, like 5 or 6 years old. That's the first time I visited Japan, and since then, DeLorean was one of a kind of car, but I didn't really need it to it because I wasn't really a car guy. But after I grew up and I become late teen, so I started loving the car. And then, at the time I was in Canada, so I studied high school there, and then fixing car after school, something like that. And then I really wished to become a car mechanic, so I applied the school in Japan. So there's a professional car engineering school in Japan. I took the course like that. So
wow.
Yeah, and then the car wasn't really any available in the real world, so you only saw it on maybe the game like Gran Turismo. And then even in the game, that wasn't a fast car, so you won't use it to see anything.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny. So, you sent me a message an hour or so ago. I was playing Gran Turismo 4 with an emulator on my M1 MacBook Pro, which is a whole nother thing because there's no PlayStation 2 emulators for Mac.
All right.
But so I was running Windows 10 in a virtual machine on the laptop. So it was basically emulation of emulation of emulation to get Gran Turismo 4 working on a MacBook Pro. But you're right. So I've played Gran Turismo 4 for hours and hours, and I have my DeLorean on there souped up to like 500 horsepower. So it goes a little bit. I can go 200. I have it just tuned good enough, even without nitrous, to go just over 200 miles an hour in Gran Turismo 4. But that's a good point, because the DeLorean is a rare car. It's rare in the United States. It's even rare in other places of the world. I imagine it's even more rare in Japan. So that's one of the only ways that somebody who likes DeLoreans can ever experience a DeLorean is either on a television screen or in a video game. And would you say that when you finally got your DeLorean, were you let down in any way, or have you just become more happy as you've owned it?
I think overall I'm more happy because I didn't expecting a top-notch quality or the performance as the movie. But because since that's my first car, I have nothing to compare about, so nothing to complain about. Because I like fitting with the cars, and I'm really happy this car was built. Everything can be fittable, so I can fix it, mint it all by myself.
Yeah.
Not just by the car performance overall, but serviceability is good.
Yeah.
Parts is really apprentice on the website.
Right.
So it's good, yeah.
There's plenty of parts in that website. So the DeLorean Motor Company is based where I live in Houston. It's actually a little town north of Houston called Humble, Texas. If you're not from Houston, it's spelled humble with an H, Humble. But if you're from Houston, if you're from Texas, you know to pronounce it Humble. No H, just Humble. But that's where the DeLorean Motor Company is based, and now they have kind of satellite facilities around the world. I don't know if they have a facility in Japan, but I know that they have one in California.
Not official. It's not official facility, but the mechanic is certified, and there is DeLorean Motor Japan in Aichi Prefecture.
How far is that from you?
It's often kind of 5-kilometer drive, so
that's not bad.
300 miles.
Oh, 500 kilometers. I thought you said 5 kilometers. Yeah. That's like 2 miles. 2.1 miles.
So so like 5-hour highway, something like that, on the blast maybe.
But they can just ship you parts pretty quick.
It's a different story. The whole shop was a bike shop.
Wow.
He fixed bikes for living, but on the weekend, occasionally he'll fix DeLorean, and then occasionally, and then since he is the only mechanic that is literally certified by the granddaddy of the DMC, so the CEO, Jane Espen, and Steven actually met him, and then he has been to America and get some steel back. So he is an official DeLorean mechanic in Japan.
Wonderful.
One and only. So
so it's James.
That's only one person.
Right. It's James Espy and Stephen Wynn, and I've known them since I've had my car for over 20 years. I remember when they were in a very small garage near downtown Houston, and Stephen was in that garage just with his, all covered in oil. He was the guy who worked on DeLoreans, and now it's become this big, a worldwide kind of brand, again, if you want to call it that. So they've come a very long way. Were you saying? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Were you saying that the mechanic at the bike shop is the only guy in Japan really working on DeLoreans?
I think for the people who can depend on him, that's the only guy. But there are some random mechanic which have some few DeLorean experience, but he is the only guy. And then people usually ask for him, like for diagnostic problem, like some no issue with car didn't go stop,
right?
And then he usually have 5 slots, 5 lifting garage. So usually it's all been parked. Usually it take a year or maybe half year to get your car back. Once you send the car to the shop, it will take that long to actually get things done. So it is kind of hopeless situation. If you really have a catastrophic failure, maybe you should go ask him for help, but other than that, I think you better do yourself. It's quicker.
So speaking of that, what have you done to the car most recently?
It
could be small.
I think interior, I fixed the door gap, like the panel gap, something. Those are kind of tear off. I do, and then like this, I just convert myself a lace style door strap. I just drill a hole, put the strap in. But usually, my car was early type, so I don't like that strap, something like that.
Can you show us? And this will be useless for anybody on the radio, but this is why you should subscribe to Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube. Oh, you got the steering wheel. Did you add the letters yourself to the steering wheel?
No, I bought the logo from the Houston.
Subscribe to Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube to see what we're talking about. More GTR coming up. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. My guest this week is a fellow DeLorean owner in Tokyo, Japan, named Peter, and we're talking about the modifications he's done to his car.
This is the GPS speedo.
Nice.
There's a backup camera all the way on, so intended to give me more view.
Yeah.
The car sat nav, and then actually the more stuff I done is beneath the car.
Okay.
I changed the harness, upgrade the relay, and a lot of stuff.
Wow.
Overall, the car.
Oh yes, for everybody listening on the radio right now, you can't see what I'm looking at right now. This is a beautiful 1981 DeLorean. I can't stress enough. If geektherapyradio.com or just search for Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube to see this beautiful 1981 DeLorean. That is a very, very clean engine bay.
Yeah, detailing the engine bay, so a little cable management.
Yes. And I see you have new ignition lines. You have, are those ignition lines or are those the, yeah, that's ignition.
Fuel line.
Yeah. New fuel lines. The compressor looks nice. Everything in there looks so clean. So clean.
I daily drive it, so it's,
Very nice job. And the stainless steel coolant coolant reservoir, did you add that yourself or did it come with it when you bought it?
Oh, did it come with it?
Okay, that's a very, very common upgrade. It looks okay. The coolant hoses look very clean, very new. That's a very clean engine bay. You have a aftermarket throttle body shield. I see on there.
Yeah, from the DMC Northwest.
Yes. Do you have any performance upgrade to it? Has it got the new exhaust?
No, not really. But I wish to do it later in the future.
Yeah, I've put a K&N air filter in mine as well. I'm not sure it actually does anything. K&N says, it'll add 5 horsepower to your car. It's like the DeLorean already doesn't have any horsepower, so I haven't noticed.
That is on the auto, so yeah, I guess on the wheels less than 100.
Yeah, I haven't noticed any sort of bump in power from putting a K&N air filter on there, but it is cleanable and reusable. Oh, your louvers look really nice too.
Actually, the most important things I want to do now is the roof box right there. I did spot some rust flake underneath it, so I took the T-panel off and then opened the hatch. Surface hatch, and then get the harness out, and then use a magnet to scoop out some rust. I actually still keep the rust here.
Right, and so people know.
Behold, it is actually the rust from the roofs.
Wow.
So yeah, it's bad, but it can be safe. So I have to paint some rust prevent stuff to make it delay a little bit. Eventually, if I got the chance to swap the roof box, I will do it.
So it's not the actual stainless steel that's rusting.
Yeah,
it's what's underneath.
Yes, underneath there's a roof support box, which is put the hinge for door, and then that's the only part I really wish to tell John to make it in stainless steel, not the chassis, but that roof box.
Yeah. In one of the
traffic side.
One of the issues, one of the parts that's very hard to find that they don't make anymore are the torsion bar. You see I'm pointing at the screen like you know what I'm doing. What the metal rod that twists to help open the door, it's the metal torsion bar. Yep. It's in the seam right there. It was made by I believe Grumman Aviation back in the 70s or 80s. You can't get that bar anymore. Nobody makes that bar anymore.
Actually, there is one manufacturer who make it, and then it costs the same as the original price, but $1,000 per bar. At least you can get it, still get it.
I didn't know they still made. I didn't know somebody started making them. That's wonderful.
Yep, there is. It's just on the website. I can show you later. What I did the most is the keyless entry. I did it myself. So
and you got the stripe on there too. Yeah. Do the wings aloft.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna make my nephew scream. He asked me the other day, "Have you put the automatic door openers on your DeLorean?" I was like, "Oh, not yet." Is that the wings aloft system? Is that what they call it? Yeah. Wings aloft. How hard?
Change the headlight to. Oh, sure. What?
No, I was just saying. I forgot what I was asking. Oh, did you install wings aloft yourself?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I changed the headlight to LED, which is color changeable. So normal time it will act like a fog light.
So there are RGB headlights?
Yeah, there is, but you don't need RGB. But now it's switchable, so now it's just a purely white car for the highway for the dark place.
Yes.
I still like the yellow theme, so.
Yes. Okay. So if you're just listening to the radio and you don't go to YouTube to watch this for whatever reason, Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube, his headlights change color. Not like, not from blue to red or whatever, but kind of the color temperature changes from very warm to very blue. So for something like, I would say maybe 2,800 to 5,000 K in color temperature, but he can change it. Are you changing that with your remote control, your keys?
No, just the switch. You just need to high beam, low beam, and switch the color back and forth.
Another good thing about you using the LED headlights is that they won't get so hot, and that front fascia won't. They kind of deform. They bend and.
Actually, I think the reason they deform was not by the heat, because usually you just don't use the high. I mean, low beam is here, but usually it warp here. That's only when you use the high beam a lot. But
okay.
I don't think people use that much high beam. So the last thing I can. Assume will be the expansion rate difference, because the FBR is expand differently than the fiberglass body itself. So when they expand it, it stretch it, and then it cannot be shrunk back anymore. So it collide here. That's what I assume.
Yeah, it kind of buckles. And
not the heat. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't even think about that. So there's the hood. Here, can you flip up the gas flap on the hood? Well, you got the hood open. We'll do the gas flap in a second. Yeah, there's the gas flap. Awesome. I wish that they didn't eliminate that later on. I have to lift the whole hood to put gas in my car. It's not a big deal.
I also got the strap bar beneath it.
Oh, there you go. Yes, very nice. That is a very, very clean. I think what you've done to the car is very tasteful. You haven't done anything extreme.
If you see the
wires
device here, yeah.
Oh, you got a servo on the trunk release. That is backup. That's so beautiful. That is so beautiful.
So if the wire snapped.
Peter, that's awesome.
There's so many spare parts and like the diagnostic stuff, the dwell meter, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I have to carry all the stuff by myself. So eventually, if it breaks down the road, I can deal with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Something about it.
Absolutely. You need to keep that stuff in the car. In a DeLorean, but any classic car, you need to keep spares. You need to keep spare fuses, spare relays, jumper cables, coolant.
There's also
battery charger,
spare parts here, so I can pretty much open a shop of it.
Nice. Very cool. Can I see the back tires? Mastercraft. Okay, I was looking because I just put new tires on mine and I wanted the white letters like that, but there's not very many manufacturers that make that tire size with the white.
I think eBay has the answer for that.
Right.
I found 5 maker. They make the tire the size and plus the white leather.
Right.
But I think this leather is the one I want. So rather than the Cooper Cobra or the BF
Goodrich. Yeah, that's what I just got.
Yeah. And then there's a HP 4000. And then what is that? There's more, but I think Avenger GT sounds nice for me, so I bought it.
Nice.
It's a meme name.
I just wish the 14-inch rims on the front. I wish they made 14-inch tires that matched with the white letters. And unfortunately, our time's run out for the radio show. Make sure you grab the Geek Therapy Radio podcast in your favorite podcast player. Just look for the red, white, and black color scheme. In the description, I'll include link to Peter's Twitter account and social media, and all other appropriate links as well. Thank you so much for listening to Geek Therapy Radio this week. Know that you are loved. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of giving love, receiving love, and you're worthy of your own self-respect. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. If you'd like to sponsor Geek Therapy Radio, just go to geektherapyradio.com and let's talk.